Hey guys, Mr. Barrett here, just to give you some feedback on the trial exam. I marked the trial exam pretty much as the HSC markers would. Some of you did well, some of you have some room to improve before the actual HSC. So this is designed to just give you a little bit of feedback and some tips. First section was multiple choice. A tip to improve your multiple choice mark would be to go to the Board of Studies, Studies of Religion homepage, and they have all the past exam multiple choice questions. And just to practice that, there's a link on the homepage to do that. I would say there's only a certain amount of information they can test you on in the areas of nature of religion and for 2-unit religion and non-religion as well. So go in there and practice all those questions, and then obviously read through your notes as well to practice for the multiple choice section. Section 2, it's really important to note for both 1 and 2-unit students, there's only certain topics that can be covered when it comes to each religion. Some of you started writing really bizarre topics that actually weren't ones that could be tested, especially in the significant practice area. Now, it's really important to know, now this is the syllabus point that you guys should be reading up on and knowing, and that is for Christianity, it is the Saturday/Sunday worship service, it is baptism, and it is the marriage ceremony. For Judaism, it is death and mourning ritual, it is Saturday worship, and it is also marriage. For Islam, it is funeral service, it is the Hajj, and it is the Friday prayer at the mosque. Okay, specifically Friday prayer at the mosque. Some people are writing about all sorts of other practices, but they actually weren't part of the 3 that we should be looking at. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Also, some of you decided to move away from the notes that I gave you on environmental ethics and do a different topic. That's fine, but if you're going to do sexual ethics, and I have said this in the past, but I'll say it again, please don't think just writing "do not have sex before marriage" is actually enough to get you a good mark. Okay, the sexual ethics area is much broader than that. Okay, so don't think, oh, can't have sex before marriage, I'll just write that down and I'll say it a few different ways. It is true for certain religions, but it's not going to give you enough detail. Okay. A few comments generally in section 2 was if you lost marks, it was you lacked the detail, you lacked the statistics, you lacked the quotes, you didn't cover all the key points that you should have. Okay, a lot of you wrote very generally. Okay, remember you are meant to be experts now, and you are meant to be able to write in depth. So that's one area for section 2. It's the same for in section 1 when you're doing the 5-mark questions as well. Okay, we kind of skipped over that to get to section 2, but the 5-mark questions, you need to refer to the quote. If there is a quote given, you need to use statistics. For example, when you're talking about the changing landscape of religion, don't just say, oh, lots of Muslims came to the country. Okay, you need to say where they came from and what the percentage of increase in Islam was in the country. Okay, a lot of you really lack the specifics there. But section 2 was done reasonably well. Okay, you needed to cover all the key points. I'm just looking at it now on each of the areas. Okay, remember for Judaism and Christianity, environmental ethics are very similar, and you can use the same quotes. Okay, very few people actually listed all those quotes that I gave you in the weekly work, and they were, in the beginning God created the world. So God creates, therefore He dictates how the world is to be managed. When He created, it was good, it was in perfect harmony, but sin entered the world, and therefore creation wasn't how God intended, but God placed humankind as stewards, and it's a key word there, stewards, or to have dominion over the earth, which means to sustainably look after it. Okay, and using quotes, those quotes for Judaism and Christianity, very few of you actually did that, which was a bit disappointing. For section 3, the extended response 20-mark question, You should be looking, depending on your size of your handwriting, should be looking about 6 pages to get one of the top marks. Okay, you cannot write a page and a half or 2 pages and expect to really get anything more than 10 marks. Okay, guys, you're just not going to have the detail in there. And some of you think that's enough. It's not. Okay, so you need to really know your subject. Just be careful that you don't fall into the trap of just giving a biography of a person's life. A lot of you wrote a lot about, say Q-Tip or Isaiah or Paul, and just gave his whole life history. For example, some people wrote a whole page on Paul's conversion to Damascus when the question was actually, what was his impact? Okay, it's all well and good to write about his conversion, about him, that's fine, you're not going to lose marks. But the question was specifically asking for his impact, and you always need to come back to what they're asking because that's what you'll get marked on. So you need to specifically state, you know, for Paul, for example, his impact was taking the Christian message to the Gentiles, not just the Jews. It was his writings in the New Testament. It was setting up churches. It was encouraging people. It was his theology about salvation and grace, and they were the key points that you needed to elaborate on, not just about his story. Religion and peace, this is for 2 unit now. That section was done in your assessment task. You needed to go back, and as you could see, the question in the exam was what you covered in your assessment task, and you need to be prepared for that. And the use of quotes, it was asking for how, let's get the wording here, principal teachings about peace, so you needed to use the sacred text. Some of you wrote a whole essay without one quote from a sacred text. Okay, you can't talk about the principal teachings without using numerous quotes. Okay, so that's an area where we need to get better, guys. Okay, statistics and quotes. Okay, and that's what I really want you to work on over the next few months up until your HSC. So what I want you to do is, in your revision work, I want you to be emailing me some of the papers that you've done, some of the timed questions and responses, and I will mark them online and I'll email them back. Just to give you an idea of how you are going. Okay, so time it. Okay, it gives you time estimates. Okay, this religion and peace one was given 35 minutes. So what you do, you sit down at your desk with 35 minutes and you write a response how you would. Okay, or type it out, or if you write it, if you're at Northern Beaches, you can obviously give it to me. If you write it and you're not at Northern Beaches, you can either scan it at your school and email it to me. Or you can write it on the computer and email me to me, might be easier. Either way, take a photo of it, I don't care. Just get it to me and then I'll give you some critique and feedback, and it's the only way you get better. Don't lull yourself into a false sense of I'll be okay. Okay, you really need some constructive feedback. Okay, so answer the questions online, write the feedback, and I'll be more than happy to help you there. But hopefully that's been helpful for your exam. Please email me if you want some additional information or advice. I'm always here. Good luck with the study, guys.